I now read the profile of our today's facilitator, the presenter of today's program. Dr. Ginika Amefule is a seasoned education consultant, an expert in fashion, clothing, and textile. She has a PhD and master's degree in home economics. In home economics education, specializing in clothing and textile. She currently teaches home economics and clothing and textiles related courses at formal and informal institutions. As the principal consultant of Timeless Fashion Lab, Dr. Amefule empowers teenagers and young adults to discover and refine their fashion skills. Her consulting expertise extends to various international and local organizations. Dr. Amefule is a devoted member of the Catholic Church and has held leadership roles within the church. She's married to Mr. Okuchi Amefule. Dear participants, please join me to welcome our speaker. Let us do that with a standing ovation. Please, wherever you are, you can send an emoji of clapping hands, or if you can just make a joyful noise wherever you are. Let us welcome our speaker. I am clapping from my own side.
Welcome, Dr. Ginika. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow.
Dr. Ginika. You're welcome.
Thank you for the emojis. Thank you.
You're
Wow,
welcome.
that's beautiful. I appreciate that. Thank you. Without wasting time, I now invite our speaker to begin. I'm going to share her slides. Dr. Ginika, you can begin now as I share your slides. God bless you.
Good evening, everyone. Father, should I start?
Please, begin. 20 minutes. Please begin.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Father?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Go ahead.
Just check my view.
Can you hear me, Father?
Go ahead. Can hear you.
You're
Go
loud
ahead.
and clear,
Yes,
Dr. Ginika.
we can hear you, please. We can hear you.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead, please.
Okay, thank you. I saw the chat. We can hear you. Thank you for having me. Good evening, everyone. I intentionally off my video. I don't want to be distracted. So our topic today is human love and sexuality education in the home. First of all, we need to look at the meaning of love. Love is a word that we use every day, but sometimes we can find it difficult to conceptualize love. So for the purpose of this webinar, I'm going to give some definitions of love. And the first one we have here is that love is an intense feeling of deep affection for another person. We can also define love as the act of caring and giving to someone. Love can also mean having someone's best interest and well-being as a priority in our life. Love is a selfless, sacrificial, unconditional commitment to the well-being of an individual. Now, for human love is just an affection towards another individual. We can't just say we love. There are some characteristics that follows it, and I term those things the basics of love. The first one we have is the word of affirmation. That is reminding somebody we love that we love the person. Like your spouse did something that you like very well. You say, I love you. And your son did something you like very well. You say, I love you, son. Or your friend will do something or surprise you, say, you know, I love you. All these things are words of affirmation. You are trying to remind the person that you love him or her. That is one of the basics of love. Then the next one is quality time. We can't say we love somebody without spending quality time with the person. In our families, we'll say we love our families. So no matter how stressful we are, no matter the career, no matter the work we are doing, we need to bring out time to spend with that person you love. Sharing our sorrows, our problem, that is what we do with the quality time. Then we also have the physical touch. That is tapping somebody, hug, kisses, depending on what. All these are ways we can show that we love somebody. Then we have also the act of service. These are little things we can do. Example, in the family, washing dishes, cooking food. They are acts of services. And we do them to show the family members that we love them and that all of us are together. Then the last one we have is receiving gifts. We can give gifts to our loved ones, maybe during Christmas, during the person's birthday. These are ways we can show love. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is types of love. Types of love. The first one we have here, we have various types of love. For the purpose of this webinar, I just picked out 5. The first one is agape love, which is the unconditional love of God. This is the highest form of love we have. The Bible told us that for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. That is Jesus Christ, leaving his kingdom, his paradise, everything coming down to earth to live with us. And just being born in a manger, we could understand that love. And that is why we say that agape love is the highest form of love. Then we have the romantic love. That is love and intimacy between partners. Like in Catholic marriage, we preach this kind of love between couple. We also have the familial love, which is love and bonding between family members. The fourth one is the platonic love, which is deep friendship and affection between friends. Then the last one we have is the self-love, acceptance, care, compassion towards oneself. Of course, you cannot love people without loving yourself first, because this love starts from you. From there, it now radiates to another person. The next thing we're going to look at is the meaning of sexuality education. You know, our talk is human love and sexuality education. The first part is human love. Now, the second part is sexuality education. Sexuality education, otherwise called sex education, is teaching and learning about a broad field of topics related to sex and sexuality. Sexuality education is an education about human sexuality, relationship, reproductive health. This type of education provides individuals with accurate and age-appropriate information to help them make informed decisions about their sexual and reproductive health. The main goal of sex education is to promote healthy and positive attitudes towards sexuality, relationship, gender, and to empower individuals to make informed decisions about their lives. Now we go to what I termed methodology. When should we teach sex education in the home? And who should teach sex education in the home? The when, what we usually teach is that sex education should be taught naturally. That is, as the opportunity comes, you teach the sex education. Maybe you are bathing the child. You are touching part of his organ. You tell him, this is this, this is this. That is education going on in the bedroom. Or you are watching a movie in the family. A scene pops up. Use it and teach the child. But also as Catholics and marriage counselors, we're also preaching that you can make it an avenue. Maybe during morning prayer, morning devotion, you bring it up in the home and you teach the children. Remember, if you don't teach them in the home, other persons will teach them outside. That is why sex education is very, very important. Then when we come to who will teach sex education in the home, usually it is preferred that the fathers will teach the male children, while the mother will teach the female one. Yeah, that is even, for me, that is the best way it should be. because the father talks to them as men, while the mom talks to them as their fellow women. Now, in this sexuality education, I said it is education that is for different age groups. So we're going to look at some age groups and what you can teach them at those various ages. Now, first of all, look at children ages 5 to 8. Children ages 5 to 8. So what are you supposed to teach them? You can teach them the basic anatomy. This is the study of the structure of the body. You tell them the parts of their body that that is the part of it. Just tell them the part of their body. And you should be straight. Make emphasis. Mention the names of the part of those body. Don't say your pee-pee, your wee-wee. No. Mention it. Your penis, your vagina. Mention those words, those organs. They should know about it. And we have another thing, body safety. Body safety. You have to tell them that you have to tell them safety about those body parts. Assuming if somebody touches your penis, you should tell me. If somebody touches this, you should tell me. So all these things are part of sexuality education that you should teach them. Then you should also teach them boundaries and privacy. In the homes, we have the male children and we have the female children. They should know that we have boundaries. Maybe when you enter a room, before you enter a room, you should be able to knock. That is somebody's privacy. Or when you see somebody undressing, you have to excuse the person. So you have to teach them these rules, these limits for themselves. And healthy relationship. For this healthy relationship, most times you don't even teach it. The children model from what they are seeing from the relationship they are seeing between the couple. That is what the children are modeling. So for children ages 9 to 12, at this stage, you teach them about puberty. That is those physical changes that the children will begin to see in their body as they transit from childhood to adulthood. You teach them about the breast. Their breast will begin to come out. Those changes, you have to teach them. They are part of puberty and body changes. Then you teach them hygiene and self-care, especially during menstruation. You tell them that during menstruation, they should be taking their baths twice, look at using pad, all those things. You have to mention them to them. Mention all these things to them. Then you talk about body odor. You should tell them about body odor. They should be aware of this, because if they don't learn it from you, they will learn it from someone else. Body odor, what can cause body odor? What are the ways we can prevent body odor? By taking regular baths, shaving their armpits, taking care of their body very well. So this is what we should teach them at home. Then we have emotional changes and relationship. This is the biological processes driven by physical and cognitive changes, because as these children are passing this through puberty stage, they have emotional change. Some of them might begin to have mood swap. So many things can be happening to them. So you teach them all those things that they are expected to know. Then we look at the next age level, the early teen, ages between 13 to 15. You have to teach them about sexual development and reproduction, those physical changes that occur during puberty. We have the development of breast, the onset of menstruation. Some of them might begin to have wet dream. You have to tell them the meaning of all these things. You teach them so that they will learn it. Then you also teach them consent and healthy relationship, agreements, permission, like I've said before. If somebody touches them, they should be able to communicate to you, and they should not allow people to touch their various parts of the body. So this is what we teach them at that age. Then for ages 16 to 18, we teach them about sexual orientation. I may not be in the right sense, maybe I may not talk about this, but we need to talk about it. Sexual orientation. Sexual orientation refers to who are they attracted to. So you know that the normal one we have is the heterosexual, but still we have the gay, we have the lesbian. It's good you call the children. You tell them what is gay, what is lesbian. They should know about it, but you should tell them, look at the one we do. Look at the one that God said we should do. In the Bible, you can use the Bible as an instance. The Bible, when when God created Adam, God created Eve. So Eve should go to Adam. That is a man to be a woman, not a man, not the other way around. So you should tell them the right thing, but explain all those things, their meaning, transgender, all those words. You explain them to them, but you tell them the right one. Because if you don't teach them at home, somebody else somewhere will teach them that gay or lesbian is the best, and that one your parents are doing, they're not the best. So you have to teach them the right one. Then we talk about healthy communication and relationship skill. If you are friends with your children, they'll be free to communicate anything. Even if when a boy approaches them on the road and tell them one sweet story, the children will come to you and tell them, look at what the boy told us. Look at what this is. Because when I was growing up, they will bring out so many things that if you use this to do this, that this will happen to you if you do. So, but if they are your children and you are close to them, anything that happens to them, they will bring it to you and you teach them the correct one. So at this stage, you talk about this communication skill. You open that communication skill, become friends with them. Feel free. Even if they did something that is wrong, feel free. Be open to them and correct them with love. Then when we come to the adult ages, that is from people that are 19, yes, they are 19, they are adults, but still, they still need that sex education. Then you talk about advanced topics like sexual health, wellness. Sexual health is the state of being physically, emotionally, mentally, and socially well-being, of an individual in relation to sexuality. You talk about the relationship dynamics. You talk about what they are likely to see when they begin to relate with people, maybe people of the opposite sex, their friends in school. They are the patterns. So you have to talk about them. You teach them so that not when they see such things, they will be marveled. Then the last one, will teach them the reproductive rights and access to healthcare. At this time, you can even teach them about STI, HIV. They should know what causes those STIs and how to prevent them. It will help the children. The problem we have is that most time we don't teach this sexuality education. And life abhors vacuum. If there is no information, whatever they get from outside, that is what they believe is the right thing. So that is the reason why it is always to teach the children this sex education at home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ginika. Your presentation was just straight to the point, without missing words, you identify the key points. And the presentation for me is very apt, and I so much appreciate that. Dear friends, please join me to give a standing ovation to our dear Dr. Ginika Amefule. You can do that by, sending emoji or clapping hands or anyhow you want to do that. Please let us give her a resounding ovation for this straight to the point presentation, very concise, very precise, and that's the kind of presentation that I appreciate, the way that it will give us ample time to discuss. Please let us give her a round of applause once again. I am clapping from my angle. You can, but everyone put on your videos. If you can, put on your video. Let us clap for her. Put on your videos if you can. Unless your network is bad. If your network is bad, that's when you put your own on, it will disturb. Better leave it. But if you have a very good network, put your video on and let us give her a round of applause. Nobody wants to put on his or her video again. Wow, Sister Rosanna, join me. Let us clap for her. Sister Rosanna. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Who else? Who else is put on the video? Who else? Somebody will tell me that, Father, there is no light where we are. I know already. If there is no light where you are, don't bother. Who are innocent. Wow, I think I'm seeing you. Is that for the first time I'm seeing your face? Innocent. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. But you are not clapping, Innocent. You are not clapping. All right, awesome, awesome. Thank you. Mrs. Mediana, don't bother. I can see that where you are is dark. Don't bother. God bless you. God bless you. Yes, don't bother.
Thank you.
It's not your fault. There is no light there. Any other person, if you have light where you are, put on your video, let's see your face, then wave. Wow, I can see Mr. Johnson waving his hand where he is, even though there is no light there. Is that light? No, there is no light, Mr. Johnson. Wow, Jaris, wow. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Mary Mogaji, thank you for putting on your video. Please, let's see you waving hand or clapping or doing something. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Dear friends, we have listened to the presentation straight to the point. Okay. At this point, we shall now go to different groups. All right,
Okay,
dear friends, welcome back from our various groups. I believe that we all have fruitful discussion in our groups. It's now time to receive the report from different groups. We have two groups. I now call on the group leader of each of these two groups to give us a summary of their discussion. Please just share with us in brief the key points that you discussed in your group. Thank you. I call on group one. Let's hear you, group one.
Yeah, well, I'm going to speak on behalf of Barrister Mrs. Ekweme, who probably maybe due to network was unable to join us. Well, 5 key things were mentioned. I mean, were said. First one, the topic we are supposed to discuss has to do with the role of parents and guidance towards your children on sex education. Sex education, as we rightly mentioned in our group, should be taught at the early stage with a great monitoring. It's not just for you to abreast them of the fact about sex education and then you leave them to it. No, you must also guide them both words and action. Then the second one has to do with at this stage, between 4-8 is the right time for us to discuss or to teach our children sexual education. Then the third one has to do with was someone mentioning that there's a difference between sex education and sexual education. Sex education could only go restricted to a particular set of the body. But while sexual education encompasses the whole being, the entire being, it's cut across the entire being, body and soul, and then some critical areas of human being. Then the fourth one is part of the role of the parent is to guide these children on what to touch, where to touch, what to say, what not to say, what to do, what not to do at this early stage. In fact, there are some certain things that they need to be guided while watching. Maybe movies, there are some movies that they need to be guided while watching it, and then to also explain. However, it is not really a good side mentioning, okay, at the age of 2 years, you are already telling a child, this is penis, this is vagina. You know, it is still not in their circle to mention that. But however, it's also good that once you get to a certain stage, you need to tell them what it is. Then the last one was that part of the sexuality education is also chastity education. And that was what our last speaker was mentioning, was trying to explain. And I really get a good point from there. That chastity education has to do with even when you grow up to a puberty stage, or a stage where you feel that there is a change in your body, you can easily have urge. What are you expected to do? And this brings me to this question of she mentioned a guide. There is a sexuality education guide from the UN, stating that if at the age of 10, 11, you could see a body changed, maybe you feel urge and you feel you need to satisfy it, the best option is for you to go into masturbations and all that. And this guide, this booklet, this pamphlet is circulating. What is church doing about it? That's a question on one side of it anyway. But she actually explained that it is also good that we teach our children some chastity level, where this is not the right time for you to do this. This is not the right time for you to do that. And when our parents are doing so certain things before these children, we should know what exactly we are doing. We should know what we are to do in their face or in their presence. You can't be kissing, having some kind of emotional, romantic moment before the child of 4 years or 5 years, and then the question will be, "Mommy, what are you doing?" So we also need to guide ourselves on what we do before them. Those are the points mentioned. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Please, Mr. Johnson, these points you mentioned, I would like you to put them down, okay, and send it on the WhatsApp group.
No
If you
problem,
can
sir.
do it now, that's fine. After the program, that's fine too. The
All right.
points from your group, I want you to itemize them, send them on the group chats, okay?
Okay,
And
Father.
then hold your own copy that can be elaborated later, which we
Okay,
shall
Father.
form part of our manual. Thank you. God bless you. I so much appreciate that discussion from group one. And some of the points you mentioned, we have to elaborate few of them during question and answer session. Thank you. God bless you. We now call on group two. Let's hear from group two, please. Good evening.
Just unfortunately, because of the snag, because of the mistake that was done, we didn't do so much, so to say. However, it's still happening on what that group suggested. But basically, on sexual talks with our children, the synopsis we had is basically to be very sensitive of the age and the language pattern used. Because I used to remember back then when I was growing up, there were some hard words that we don't use when it comes to words like penis. You hear something like ntanta, because of the age, limit or the age bracket of the children you are trying to communicate. But at this point in time, in as much as we are very careful as parents on the age, on the words that should be used with the children, communicate with the children as regards to their genitals and how it should be used at every point in time, we equally must be conscious as parents on practicing what we actually teach them. Because some of us are half nude in their presence with the belief that, okay, they are still children. They do not understand anything, or they understand little or nothing about what is being done. Some of the parents equally even take bath with their children. They are naked bathing with their children. So all these things are what we need to actually curtail and ensure that as much as we are trying to teach them, relate with them as regards to sex education, we need to equally match it up with our actions and inactions. Just like the other group leader did say, there are some inappropriate actions that shouldn't be done in the presence of the children, regardless of thinking that they might have slept, and even the position or the environment where those things are done. So caution is called to play, and our group actually called for caution on those aspects so that we will equally match all those sex education that are being transmitted to the children with practical examples. And of course, most importantly, follow up, because gone were the days when parents would tell a female child that when a man touches you, you become pregnant. If you, that is honesty in in the sex education is another point that we, x-rayed, to be honest. Now, if you are not honest, when such a child discovers that, oh, actually a boy has already touched her and there was nothing like pregnancy or anything of sort, she will now know, okay, this is like my parents are not giving me the true picture of things. They're not really telling me the truth. Then they will end up not even when you are beginning to teach them the truth that they need to know, they will no longer have that trust. There will be trust deficits between you and your word. And so when you are saying some things, they prefer to listen to those ones, most especially now that we have technosphere generation. They prefer to listen to those ones that that they see or they watch on YouTube or on social media handles. Because we are in a messed age, hence there must be message that should be sent to the generation. So we are in a generation whereby single mamas are advising married ones that are in their husbands' houses on how they should live with their husbands. And so we need to actually make sure that honesty comes to play when it has to do with sex education with our children, that we are honest and we are telling them this is the true situation of things. This is not for you at this age. You will enjoy it, but not now, maybe at your later age or when the time is ripe. But they should know the truth at the true situation of things, rather than, shrouding everything under deception or trying to cover things up, because those things that you fail to teach them today, in one way or the other, they will get to learn it from the wrong persons. And when they do, I mean, it's a gone for such children. So that's just the very few, because many
All
of
right.
us network issues.
Thank you. Chijoke, are you joining for the first time? I guess this is your first time you are joining our program.
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Please send me a message on WhatsApp, okay? Send me a message on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, friends. At this point, I'll entertain question and answer. But before I do that, I want to invite Sister Kelechi to share with us briefly. I was listening to her beautiful uh, contribution in her own group. Sister, please share with us briefly some of the points you shared in your group, which in the group presentation, many of them were not captured. I think they'll be beneficial to many here. After that, I would like Sister Rosanna to also share with us. I listened to her discussion in the group, just something, just very brief, some of the contributions you made in your group. I believe that they will be beneficial to the general house. Sister Glitch, may we hear you, please? Sister Glitch, are you there? Unmute yourself. You are muted.
Okay, Father. Good evening, everyone, again.
Good evening.
First of all, please, I would like us, especially those of us who are into this, I would like us to get into the heart of, or at least understanding what is sex education and sexuality education. It's very key. The language we use is very key. Sex education is very different from sexuality education. And what we're talking about here, parents' responsibility, is sexuality education. If we talk of sexuality education and human love, we do not separate the two. We take the two, at the same time, sexuality education and human love. Okay, what I was sharing in the group is already, some of it was mentioned, age and language appropriate methodology. Age and language, and I think the last person has, explained a bit what I meant by that. And that sexuality education is something that should start as early as possible. And I even went as far as saying, while the baby is in the womb, the way the mother and the father communicate to one another, it shows a lot and it conveys a lot to the baby in the womb about what's happening, because we're talking about true love really in this. I also mentioned something about the relationship, between parents and their children, that there is need for parents to create an atmosphere of trust and confidence between them, in order to create an atmosphere of that kind of friendship, really, friendship between parents and children, especially between fathers and sons, and between mothers and daughters. I did not say, oh, please, I did not say that only fathers should teach the sons and only mothers should teach the daughters. No, there are things you can call, go cross-bound or all that. However, there needs to be a special relationship. Try and create that special friendship between you and your daughter's mother, between you and your son's father, because there are times they could be in difficulty in this area, and they need to have the confidence and the trust to come to you. There are many girls who run into trouble. They will not go to their mother. They will not go to their father, no parents. They go outside to look for a solution to their problems. No matter what it is, no matter how bad things are, your child should be able to come to you with confidence and say, Mama, see what is happening to me, or see what's happening to me. And that is something you have to create early in life, not when they become teenagers or whatever. From early in life, you try and create that trust and trustful relationship between you and your children.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sister. Thank you. Sister Rosanna, briefly. Unmute yourself, Sister Rosanna. Okay.
Yes, sexuality education is a very important topic. In as much as we are talking about what parents should do at home, what happens in school is more dangerous. More dangerous. Therefore, I'm suggesting that we have a session on this thing they call comprehensive sexuality education. Very, very important. That is the topic in our meeting this year, national meeting, that's the topic we discussed. But shortly after that, some people came from Ethiopia to the Catholic Secretariat. They're members of Family Watch International. And because they went to see the national, the House of Reps members on this said now, and also on this Samoa agreement that Nigeria later signed, and I was part of it. This man, one of them, if you see how he just dissected this comprehensive sexuality education, the same thing. So when I went to the internet, I said, let me use what happens in Nigeria. It is the same book they use in Nigeria, the same book. So it is very important that I will say, maybe we'll talk about it later. Another one we are going to do, the chastity education is a very wide topic. It's also part of sexuality, but it can be given another session. So I am suggesting, after all we have said here, these two topics should be given more attention. Comprehensive sexuality education of the United Nations, and then chastity education that counteracts what these nations are doing. As a matter of fact, Catholic Secretariat has a curriculum for sexuality education for parents and schools. But the thing is that it was printed, it was not being used, even copies were sold out. But what we are doing now, we are reprinting it. Because in October, there will be, Catholic bishops will be holding National Education Summit. And this is part of the thing that's going to be discussed. And after that discussion, after that in October, the next thing is to take this sexuality education that the bishops prepared to schools, to make it part of the curriculum, it's beginning with Catholic schools. Otherwise, what is happening today, like all of us saying, what is happening today, even in Catholic schools also, because nobody's exempt. So this is what I want to say. After all is said and done today, let us think of these two topics so that we do more on them. Thank you.
All right, sister, thank you so much for the insights. I have never thought of it in that angle. Having chastity education as a topic on its own is something that we have to consider, especially the singles. The singles. I invited some of them here to join. And friends, at this point, because of time, I'm not going to allow us to speak. If you have something to add, a question to ask, please put it on the chat. I've already seen a question on the chat. But before we do that, let me just make a few comments on some of the points. And the first thing I want to say is about the involvement of parents in this sexuality education we are talking about. The parents should be involved, not just the father or the mother. The father and mother should join. I just had an experience, someone sharing with me that when it comes to sexuality education, only the mother is the one teaching. That's the woman telling me. A little boy, a boy of 9 or 10, the first time he had the erection, he went to the mother to ask mother, what's happening? Why am I having this? The mother directed him to the dad. The dad couldn't do anything. The mother will not be the one to explain to the boy child what erection is. In a family, the father and mother should come together. Let it not be the project or the teaching of one person, but two. That involvement of parents is very important. And again, asking questions. One of the group discussed that. One of the groups made a comment on answering questions. I think it was Taklechi was saying it in the group. Sometimes when children ask questions, the parents shy away. No, you have not reached that age to know that. If you don't teach them, they will go and learn it elsewhere. They have their phone, they have peer group. It's good you try to respond to their question rather than shutting them up. Moral instruction is important in the family. Moral instruction, and I will even advise that the sexuality education should be done in the context of moral instruction. When you give your children moral instruction, you teach them morality, the things they should avoid. You use that opportunity to tell them the parts of their body. What are they called? Although depending on the age, the things they should avoid, things they should do and things they shouldn't do. What goes on in their body with regards to sexuality. I usually pick the one of menstruation while giving this example. Some girls find it difficult to, come to their parents to tell them or ask them questions when they start having blood flow. If that friendship is not there, some of them learn about menstruation outside from their peer group and all of that. But if there is friendship at home, it will help the sexual education to be effective. That's the point I'm stressing now. Friendship. If you want to teach that sexual education, try to develop or inculcate that friendship in your family. It will make it effective. Then why do we need to do this sexuality education? The importance of sexuality education. The first thing I pointed is child abuse. It will help to eradicate child abuse, if not eradicate it, but to reduce it to an extent. When a child experiences, this child abuse, either from the uncle or from a teacher or from whoever, the child will be bold enough to come to the father or mother and say, somebody touched me on my penis, somebody touched me on the buttocks and all of that. That will now help the parents to begin to follow that issue. But in a context where the father or mother never talks about that, the child will keep it within himself or herself and will not share. The chastity that sister talked about, it promotes chastity. When a child knows that it is not good, to be naked before a stranger, not even to talk of having sex, the child will be able to keep himself or herself pure. I mean, knowing that this is evil, we can't do that. Mommy say that this is evil. It helps to promote chastity at home. I mean, in the lives of children, and they grow with that chastity, with that spirit of chastity. Then pornography and masturbation. Many young people today are into the practice of pornography and masturbation. Internet is not helping matter. That becomes chastity, sexuality education becomes a way to teach them. When you give them moral instruction, you tell them the reason why they shouldn't involve themselves in that. That's why I said it is good to have the sexuality education in the context of moral instruction. But many homes today no longer have, the parents don't have time for moral instruction. Everybody is busy. Members of Catholic Marriage Forum, we need to emphasize this to the people we teach, practice it in our home, teach others the importance of having moral instruction in our various families. Teach them the word of God, teach them morality. Let there be a time for that in different families or home. I'm going to stop here. Let us answer one question, a question that we have in the chat. The question says, in a family where there is, in a family where there are two boys, two girls, for example, okay, a boy and a girl living in a single room, how can a family of four with a boy and a girl living in a single room should undergo their conjugal rights? Actually, this is reality. The question you are asking, sometimes due to economic meltdown, financial incapability of the parents, you will see a family living in one apartment, no, living in a single room, and everybody is there. So how can the parents carry out these conjugal rights? Someone suggested somewhere, I can't remember exactly, that to do that, the parents, anytime they want to engage in conjugal acts, they should send their children away to go and play ball, to go and do this. But children nowadays are wise. Anyway, let me leave it to you to respond. Presenter, Dr. Ginika, please let's hear your own input on that. What is the best way, the best approach in a family where there is a boy or a girl, there are four children, boys, girls, and they are all living in a room. So how can the parents carry out the conjugal acts? Some suggestions people make is that they should send their children away. What of at night, they may pretend that they are sleeping, but they are watching their parents. Okay, let's hear your inputs. Dr. Ginika and
Thank
maybe
you,
one other
Father.
person. Yeah?
Thank you, Father. My own input, the major thing is that they should do it in the absence of the children. They should find a way that is most convenient for them, but it should be done in the absence of the children. They can do it maybe during the time the children has gone to school, or maybe the children has gone to church. The children is not at home.
Okay, thank you. They should do it in the absence of the children. That's actually the best thing. Meaning that at night, the parents should be careful, not engaging in a marital sex, because the children may pretend to be sleeping, but they are watching. We've seen that happen all over again.
Who are living in
Next question, someone asks, okay, it's not a question, that's a contribution. Parents should not dress up in the presence of their wards, and fathers should stop wearing boxers around the living room. Decency should be observed, and that is correct. That is correct. That is correct. Of course, I heard the story of a family where the mother dresses up before the sons, you know. It was one of the sons who shared with me that, of course, in their family, there is nothing there. The mother can be naked before them and all of that. But that's not the best. That's not the best. You see a family where there are grown-up girls, maybe girls that are growing at the age of 13, 14. The father is wearing boxers, and the children are just seeing the size of his penis and all of that. It is not the best, honestly. It is not the best. Decency matters. Thank you for making that contribution, Cordelia. Okay, no more question. Others are comments. We can read up the comments from the boss. No need to read them out because of time. Male and female children should have separate rooms for sleeping, and parents check on them from time to time. My dear sister, that is for those that have the money. Those that can't afford that, what will they do? Those that share one or two rooms, that are managing, that are struggling, what will they do? Okay.
Now, marriage before
Let's hear from Mr. Johnson, and that will be all.
the
I
federal.
saw your chat, Mr. Johnson. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for that. Father, sincerely, I must say that I'm actually not satisfied with the response given. Now, in a situation where, for instance, Abuja, even if both of you, the couple are earning good money, say like 200,000 as a take home pay in Abuja, before you can get a room of 2-bedroom flat, you'll be talking about millions. Now, in a situation whereby a young couple who's just married about 4 or 5 years ago, they already have 2 kids, and then they are living in a single room, and they are to come home late, say 7, 8 o'clock. Where do they have the time to say they want to have their conjugal rights and then pursue the children away from home? So this is just a reality of life in some part of the country.
Yeah, all right. We don't need to debate on that. That is where maturity comes in as parents. Nobody should tell you the right thing to do. Nobody should tell you what to do at that point. You should know the best thing to do. You can't be doing that in the presence of the children. Definitely not. If the children are there, you have to control yourself at that moment and find the best time to do that. Of course. That is the reality. That's the difficulty or the challenge of living in one room. But the point remains, you can't do it in the presence of the children. Maturity comes in, prudence comes in. Do it at the right time in a way that you will not teach the children something bad. That's the point. That's the point.